Welcome back to the channel. This is the Action Figure Grader, and today we're going to talk about the vintage collection. I would be remiss to not mention the Haslab Cantina project finished up on Monday night, and I know this is old news by now, by the time this video airs, but 14,737 is the last number that I found from the Haslab project website, and there it is. And I got to tell you, I'm pretty happy for you guys. It's pretty incredible that a niche kind of ish playset and with admittedly a lot of pack-in figures was able to get 14,737 backers, especially at the price point it was and with where maybe the economy is for some folks. So in my opinion, I just thought it was a really successful project, and I'm very, very happy for those of you that backed it. And, you know, you didn't get Ariel Shois. I had to write it down because I can't pronounce his name very well. Wolfman. And I think it's okay. I mean, you know, you're getting the Cantina bar owner, you're getting the Tanaka sisters, Greedo, and the multi-armed dude, Nibran Leeds. I think that's how you pronounce his name. So I think that you guys are getting a really nice package of mint on cards in addition to the playset. And for those of you that diorama builders or photographers for Instagram, I mean, this is like a dream come true, right? To have all of these little alcoves and kind of period correct or movie correct setups, lots of cups to put in poses and tables. But I just think in general, it was a very successful project. And the other thing is it was kind of a short Haslab, really. The backing period was a lot shorter than, or it felt a lot shorter anyway, than the Ghost and the Razor Crest and obviously the Katana Sail Barge. So just given all the other things that are going on in the in the vintage collection with new releases and the Ghost and everything else, I just think it was a really successful campaign. So congrats to all of you that were able to get one and to back it at the level you did. And 14,737, you know, going back to a long way ago, you know, I talked to somebody that seemed to know pretty well what the production run is for most of the retail release vintage collection figures. And he kind of seemed to indicate, he wouldn't tell me exactly, he didn't want to get in trouble, but he seemed to kind of indicate that $12,000 to $15,000 unit number for production runs of whatever, just any kind of random standard release. Now, I'm not talking about ones that got a second release, like the first issue Mandalorian, or, you know, anything else where there's a second iteration. I'm not, you know, not talking about reissues like Starkiller. I'm talking about where they did a second production batch because of demand. I'm not talking about those. I'm just talking about standard one release and that's it. It seemed to be in that ballpark of 14 to 15,000. And that, you know, this final backing number for the Cantina seems to kind of back that up, right? That there's a dedicated base worldwide of vintage collection collectors that are in that ballpark. And so it's that kind of number jives with that. And so the next question is going to be, where do the mint on cards that are included with the Cantina, where do they end up? You know, where do they end up price wise? And, you know, I was thinking maybe $100 to $150 after you get past the initial wave of resellers that will sell them immediately upon receiving them from Hasbro. I think when they come out of the gate, especially for the Tanaka sisters and maybe even Greedo and for Nibran Leeds, that they do kind of be in that 200 to 250 number. There's going to be people willing to pay that. But maybe I'm wrong, because if you look at even Yak Face, where he was obviously re-released as Salt Murray on a Return of the Jedi cardback, but the Yak Face from the Katana Sail Barge, which admittedly is on its own cardback with the coin, Power of the Force style cardback, very desirable, but it's not a only available figure in, you know, in the vintage collection. And, you know, just given that it was kind of reissued, or however you want to call it, on the Return of the Jedi cardback. And even now, though, the Power of the Force version that came with the Katana Sail Barge even now, they're still selling for a lot of money. So you got 196, you got 200. That was another recent data point. So I found some others where there, we've talked about the issues with this Katana sail barge version of Yak Face, where it had the indentations, and then also the glue issue for the blister, that there was a defect with the glue or the seal on this cardback. And so those can go for as low as $100 or less, that I've seen, where the seller disclosed, hey, the glue is popping off, or it's peeled off on one side, or it's popped off completely. And so you can get that figure for cheap and get the cardback for cheap, but it's not still factory sealed. But, it's very possible that some of those pack-ins for the Cantina do still hover around $200. So who knows? It'll be very curious to see how those hold up. And again, as a number of you have pointed out, the pack-ins for the Razor Crest are not great data points because they're basically reissues, right? You got Grogu with the Chrome Prom, and then you've got the Jawa Elder. Not super exciting. I would argue that the Cantina characters that are being packed in are pretty exciting. I mean, the Tonica sisters are very cool. You've got Wooer, and don't get mad at me for the names, and then you got Nabrun Lees. So, which I actually think Nabrun Lees is really cool. He's a really cool one. It's unfortunate that you guys were not able to get Ariel Shoas, but I'm sure that there's previous releases in non-vintage collection lines that will make do. Probably doesn't happen. Probably doesn't get released later. Maybe it does. Who knows? If they put enough work into the figure, they're not just going to let it go by the wayside. I would think they'd figure out a way to milk collectors for that figure mold if they've in fact actually developed some version of that. So who knows? But I think the better data points will be once the Ghost funds and actually, or it has funded, but when it actually releases and gets in collectors' hands, some of these characters might see some demand on the secondary market on eBay for those that maybe just sell the carded figures. Eris Syndulla, I think Ezra Bridger, Kanan Jarrus, and Zeb Aurelius to me is the coolest one of the bunch. But I think those will be good kind of markers for some of the Cantina pack-ins to see how those do on the secondary market. And for fun, I just decided to pull up what the Ghost is still pre-selling for on eBay, and these are recent sales. This one sold for $625, and then the same seller also had a second Ghost that he's pre-selling. It was listed at $600, best offer accepted at $550. Again, just wait. I wouldn't trust a eBay seller because you don't have any buyer protection, as we've talked about. You don't have any buyer protection through eBay or through PayPal if you pre-order one of these on eBay. So just wait for them to get in collectors' hands. There's going to be plenty of them. So here was another one that sold almost the exact same day as these two. Again, these sold at $625 and $550, and then another seller sold one for $955. So it's all over the map right now in terms of what these pre-sales are actually selling for, assuming that these are legit sales, which I expect them to be. I think they are. But some crazy person paid, $300 to $350 more, plus $75 shipping versus what those other two sold for. So just be patient and wait. All right, so let's dig into some other vintage collection sales. I think we beat a dead horse there. This was a pretty cool Target 9-pack with the 3 special action figure sets inside, and it was in pretty good shape. Usually these are pretty beat up, but this was a nice example. And that one sold for $135 plus $20 shipping. And it's going to cost a lot more than $20 to ship that, but pretty cool sale there. We had the prototype Boba Fett VCs, was it 61, 63, plus the VCPO3 rocket firing Fett. Both of them together with the shipper boxes sold for $150 plus $5 shipping. That's a good deal for both of those together. I thought that, they weren't perfect. They had some card wave and some light nicks and scratches and things, but to get both of those for $150, that's a big drop as to what those usually go for. We had a Revenge of the Jedi VC08 Darth Vader offerless. Well, no, I take that back. This one has the paperwork inside. I spoke too soon there. So again, this is one where the sticker was either peeled off or it just never got the prototype FET offer never made it to the card back. And you could maybe argue right in here, there's some weird stuff going on Vader. So, it's very possible that the sticker was peeled off. But unpunched US card, $98 on that one. We had another VC44 Luke Skywalker Dagobah landing with the Darksaber unpunched US card that sold, $90 on that one. That's a pretty good deal there. A little bit of card wave to it. Again, not perfect, but $90. That's a pretty good low data point there for Luke Dagobah. This was a big data point. This was a true offerless Revenge of the Jedi Princess Leia in her slave outfit, VC64. So this is the one that was packed in with the SDCC box set, and it was in pretty good condition. There was one little issue below the proof of purchase on this one, but $550. Gulp! That is a big number, $550 for just the Revenge of the Jedi offerless Leia. And we've seen some data points for the entire SDCC box set Death Star that have been in the, I want to say 1,400 range or less. So $550 for just the Leia, and it wasn't even a perfect Leia to boot. So that's a big number. I've got some Canadian examples that sold. We had a punched example of Ponda Baba VC70. That was the Canadian card back, as you can see on the back there. That one was listed for $100, and the best offer accepted on that one was $80. Same seller also had the multi-language name pill Revenge of the Jedi offerless TIE Fighter palette unpunched for $80, and that's not a hard one to find. That one doesn't seem to command big money, even though it is the Canadian example Revenge of the Jedi offerless. So $80 on that I thought was a good deal. And then we had the Luke Skywalker also on the Canadian VC23 card back, multi-language name pill with the rocket firing Boba Fett. And this is the corrected version without the two B's in the Boba Fett. So that was still a nice example, though. I mean, these are really nice foreign card backs, lower production runs, I imagine. We've talked about that as well. That one was listed for $100. The best offer accepted on that was $70. So very good deals there. Next up, we had Jar Jar Binks in Carbonite. So this one was another one that sold at auction, unpunched, and looked to be in really clean condition overall. I take that back. There's a little bit of wear at the top left there. And also, I don't know what's going on over here. Somebody's got a little sticky note or something there. So I think it's because it says not for resale. So they were just covering that up. So they were worried about getting in trouble with eBay or something. I don't know. But then you had a little bit of wear in the upper left on the back of the card. But still, probably, let's call that 80 plus to 85 grade condition. I lean towards like an 80 plus. It's got some kind of, it could be dust, it could be scratches, whatever. But that one did sell for $400 though. So very nice sale there. And let's finish things off with some graded examples. We had an 8.5 AFA graded VC115 punched example. So this was punched. And it was listed for $190. Best offer accepted on that one was $150. So for a punched VC115 AFA 8.5, $150 plus $8 shipping. And, keep an eye out for this seller on eBay, because this seller is continuously listing at auction high-grade recent releases. And you may not ever want those, but for those of you that do collect these recent releases and in very high grade from AFA, this was an uncirculated 9.25 gold level 501st Legion Clone Trooper reissued. That one sold for $78. They had the ARC Trooper Lambit Seeker from the Gaming Greats line, 9.25 uncirculated. That one sold for $77 plus $10 shipping. They had the Fallen Order Heavy Assault Trooper in an uncirculated 9.0, $47. I mean, that's grading cost basically. And then they had Han Solo from the Indoor Bunker scene, uncirculated 9.0 for $47. So all really good deals there for recent releases, and this seller continuously lists them every week, it seems like. So if that's something you're into, just keep an eye out for KE Toys and Games. We also had Disruptor, who is a channel supporter. He sold an uncirculated 9.0 Speeder Bike, Scout Trooper, and Grogu Very interesting sale there. That one sold for $142.50. That's a good deal for an uncirculated 9.0. Another seller to keep on your watch list there, or on your saved sellers list. He always has a really nice selection of modern items, and full disclosure, he is a channel supporter, but Disruptor is the seller there. And then finally, here is that AFA 8.5 Mandalorian's N1 Starfighter that I did have in a recent What to Buy video. So that's the first time I've seen that one for sale. Well, maybe not the first. I think Disruptor might have had a couple of these for sale recently, but Mandalorian's N1 Starfighter 8.5 on the modern scale, and that one did sell for $400 plus $14.95 shipping. So anyway, that's all I really had for this look at recent sales for the vintage collection, as well as a kind of update as to where the Haslab Cantina finished out. Happy again for all of you guys that backed it. 14,737 backers. That's letting Hasbro know that you guys are willing to pay even for play sets, which don't usually seem to command the big money or the big number of backers that the Katana and the Ghost received. But that's a really strong number in my mind for a play set. So thank you again, as always, for watching, and I'll be back soon.